maybe get a little less aggressive music.
Yeah, pretty hardcore.
We don't want it stressing us out. All right.
But yeah, I've got
I
Twitch
think
up.
we're on.
So you can see us.
Let me just verify. Yeah, we're good. Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on, Rob.
Cool, no problem.
I really appreciate it. Before we get started here, I wanted to have a project all up and running, but for some reason, I'm getting a storybook error here. And that's a little concerning.
It's on Ignite. I don't use
Yeah.
Storybook normally, so can't help you with that one, unfortunately.
Yeah. Hey, Derek. Yeah, so Rob, while we're kind of getting started here, and just to kind of stall for time so I can fix this yarn error, tell me a little bit about yourself. Like, you know, you're in the UK, and you work for Formidable, but like, give me kind of a little bit of a picture of your backstory.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, living in the UK, up in the northeast, in Newcastle. Kind of my background, I didn't educate in tech at all. I was always interested in tech from a young age. I remember like breaking our family computer multiple times and like redrawing the mouse cursors. You could like actually edit the images for the cursors, and
Yeah.
so that was like when I was quite young. And then ended up going to university, college and university to learn like outdoor education. So I used to spend loads of time rock climbing, hiking, worked in loads of climbing centres, different outdoor activity centres, and then kind of moved into tech. Over time, I started just kind of hacking on Joomla websites and WordPress plugins, and then I thought maybe I can actually like charge. Started charging,
Yeah.
and then eventually worked in an agency full time, and then that was kind of my tech career kind of started from there.
Yep.
And then I kind of got into React Native by a SaaS company I founded. So myself and a friend, we built a SaaS product for outdoor centres, like where I'd come from. So it was like a combination of outdoor education and tech. And then kind of sold to outdoor centres this like inspection keeping system,
Yeah.
which was really good. Worked on that for 5 or 6 years, kind of building out originally Angular front end on the web, and then React Native mobile apps from, I think it was React Native 0.17. So it was like quite a few years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of carried on working on that app until about 3 years ago when I decided time to have a switch.
Mm-hmm.
Went to work on some rock climbing apps. So
Okay.
small
That's fun.
company based in the northeast. We did. We had one of them was like a two sensors on your wrists, and you'd climb, and then download the data, process the data. Another one was for like using indoor climbing walls. You'd record what climbs you've done,
Right.
and then have like leaderboards and challenges and things.
Yeah.
So that was pretty good. All React Native apps.
Yeah.
So I got to play with lots of different tools, NFC, Bluetooth, loads of QR code stuff. Yeah, and the last, I think, 8 months, I've been at Formidable.
Yeah. Okay.
So worked on a couple of projects there, which
That's
have all
awesome.
been pretty good fun.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Like, you know, Formidable is a great company. We've been connected with them for years and years. I don't know, probably going back to essentially the beginning of Infinite Red 7 years ago. And we've actually worked with them on a couple of projects, a couple of things. So, yeah, good people over there for sure. And
it's been really nice going to a company. I've always worked in small companies, and I've been like the mobile developer.
Yeah.
It's really nice now being part of the team and having people to kind of learn from and challenge each other. But yeah, kind of much better for my own kind of skill development.
Yeah, totally. Yep. Yeah, no, I agree with that. And we get that feedback as well at Infinite Red, is like that sharing. You know, working remotely, of course, it's a little harder because you have to be intentional about sharing knowledge and learning from other people. You can't just be like overhearing people in the next cubicle over.
Yeah, exactly.
So just FYI, while you're going with this, I'm trying to yarn clean and stuff like that. I'll share my screen in a bit, but actually, let's start with, and I'm gonna move this screen around here. And all right, so I want to, let's see, I want to start with, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here really quick. Make sure everything's working. Actually, okay, trying this again. Okay, I think we're good now. So you were involved with this project, React Native Owl, right? Like, what was your role there?
Yeah, so I started at Formidable partway through Manos's. So Manos was working on it for kind of 6 weeks. I've forgotten the name of the scheme, the fellowship scheme. So kind of Formidable employees can kind of pitch for like 4 to 6 weeks of time, kind of as instead of their client work, they can just work on their own project. Yeah. And he pitched for this native owl kind of idea that he had prototyped in the past, like a basic kind of proof of concept. Right. But then got 6 weeks to kind of focus on it full time and try and get something to a point where we could release. And I joined in for the last couple of weeks of that, so that was like my first Formidable kind of job. That was kind of helping him, and then after my first kind of 3 months or so client project, I worked on him for another couple of weeks, where we then released or almost released the version 1. Yeah. I worked on a lot of the setup process, trying to make the setup straightforward. Yeah. The install process. Yeah. I'm intrigued to see how it goes. Well, Formidable, just like us, has a really strong open source culture, and you all share a lot of cool things. So I think that's awesome. By the way, Danny pipes up and says, "This is great timing. I've been meaning to look at Owl." That's awesome. By the way, 1.0 just came out recently. We'll look at that in a bit. Thunfier over on the YouTube side says, "Is VGT like what Cypress does?" What's VGT? I'm not sure what VGT is. Sorry, Thunfier. I'm not sure. But there's this article that came out in January by Manos. Says we're building a visual regression testing library for React Native. And it's called React Native Owl. It's open source. The first version with limited functionality is now available on NPM. Of course, this was January, so more has been released since then. You can find it on GitHub at Formidable Labs/React Native Owl. The documentation is on Formidable's website, and I'll actually have that open as well. We'll take a look at that in a bit. And so, how can we as software engineers confirm changes to our code base haven't introduced any regression? So there's a reason why it's called visual regression testing, because it's not necessarily testing that it's right. It's testing if it changed, right? Exactly. Yeah, we're just looking for differences.
Yeah. But visual is different. Like the visual part, this is something, so way back in the day, I used the thing, so we used to do native mobile development using a system called RubyMotion, and RubyMotion had a visual regression testing library. There was one put out by I think it was actually called Terrible Labs. They put out one called Motion. Whoa, what the? Was my command held down or something? I tried to hit M and it just let's see here. Let me just see if this happens again. Motion juxtapose. And so this, I'm just kind of like, it's, they called it screenshot driven assertions. And then it would have this web page that would pop up and it would show that, hey, this is, there's a new screenshot, and then you could accept it. And then this is just like a little web page, by the way. I think you guys have one of those. So I want to, it's a little spoiler here. And then if they found a diff between this and this, then they would show the diff, and you could click a button to accept the new diff. And this is what it looked like on the back end, which we're going to obviously look at what the React Native OWL does. But this is, I use this all the time. Like this was like totally something I was just constantly, it was, you know, if there was a change in the screenshot, I wanted to know, and I wanted to see what the diff was. Oh, so Tanfir says, by the, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
That's right. No, it looks you know, the same concept essentially, and a similar process.
Exactly. Tanfir says visual regression testing. Is it the same as what Cypress does?
So I think with Cypress you can do visual regression testing. Cypress you can do screenshots. I don't know if they kind of do the visual regression bit out of the box, whether you need to implement your own kind of comparison.
Yeah, so they may have some of those features. But Danny says, how does OWL compare with stuff like Appium and Detox? That's a great question.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Detox has kind of provided some of the inspiration, and Detox is super powerful, like much more powerful than OWL. And they've got well, we were trying to kind of reverse engineer to see how it worked, but they've got a super powerful integration into the like underlying native app, where you can kind of query elements and things in the native app, which seems very difficult to do in a release build of an app. Because the kind of the UI testing framework that you can use on iOS isn't included or isn't publicly available in like a release build. So we were hoping we could just use like Apple's API methods to query for elements, but unfortunately we couldn't get it working unless we essentially copied the whole of Detox.
Yeah, right.
So super powerful. But I mean, again, Detox, you can do screenshots. And you know, you could then compare screenshots in the same way that OWL does. I guess OWL's focus is on trying to make the screenshot comparison bit like work out the box, while being kind of less of an all-round tool, get more kind of focused.
Yep. Yeah, and like from my standpoint, I definitely would want to use probably either Appium or Detox. And this, you know, this is going to be a tool in my toolbox to make sure that I'm doing what I need to do. Yeah, although there's something to be said for if you can generate a screen to take a screenshot of it, it's probably working at least okay. It's like a smoke test.
Crashed. Exactly. The content looks the same. You know, the JSX is as expected.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of just a smoke test.
It also tests things like colors and like if rendered components are layered differently, or colors have changed, images have changed, icons aren't rendering, like all these things that you won't catch with just like normal unit tests or snapshot tests maybe. Of JSX.
Yeah, exactly. And would you say that this would replace snapshot tests to you?
I don't know. I think it's probably got its place like alongside like snapshot testing for components.
Right.
Like I think a really great use case for this would be to have like it kind of be great for something where you have like a storybook with like loads of examples of components, and then you can just screenshot all of that just to confirm that none of your components have changed in any way.
That's a good point. Yeah. Actually, the maintainer of React Native Storybook is in the chat right now, Danny, and he was the one who asked about Appium and Detox. By the way, hi, Jamie. And Danny asks, or says, someone was suggesting to me recently I should integrate with OWL with Storybook and do something similar to Chromatic, but for React Native. That makes sense.
Like it'd be quite cool. Yeah.
Auto visual testing of stories. I wonder if that's doable. Rizwan says, hi, Jamon. Thanks for bringing Formidable devs. Yeah, and they didn't even have to pay me that much to do it. No, it's awesome. I actually want to do more collabs with Formidable. There's some really cool stuff happening over there. Let's keep going on this article though. So the intro is kind of explaining what visual regression testing is. So you would have a baseline image. It's just like something you've already taken a snapshot of. This is actually very similar to just snapshot tests, where you would have a baseline that you've already taken a snapshot of, and then you compare it to what you've generated now, and then you get a diff. But instead of being JSX or like the structure of your markup, it's now the actual screenshot of your screen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the diff is generated only when tests fail, and then it highlights the areas that have failed. So you can immediately see like, oh, it was this spacing, or it was that text is different. You don't have to like eyeball it and try and work it out yourself.
Yeah. By the way, we have to admire this React Native owl for a second. This
I love it. It's
this
great.
logo. Is that one of your designers at Formidable?
Yeah, I think it was Mark.
Okay.
The designer.
Well done, Mark. Very cool. I like it. That's awesome. The colors are good. It's just got a good vibe to it.
Quite a few of the open source projects have their own like icon, and they've gone up with this like a similar theme.
Yeah.
There's a few other bird related icons.
I like it. I also like that it's just, React Native owl instead of React Native visual regression testing tool.
Yeah, it's like along the pipe.
Yeah, right? Like, come on. Put some character into it. This is good. Today we're announcing, iOS and Android. React Native Web is not currently supported. Expo support is around the corner. Has that landed yet? Expo support?
So myself and Manos have both tested it out, and we've only both spent a very short amount of time on it.
Yeah,
so
okay.
But we haven't got it working just yet.
Okay.
But hopefully with AES, we'll be able to do like a dev client plugin or something.
Right.
Because there is like a little bit of native code that needs to be in it, especially for Android.
By the way, my Ignite issue was just a Yarn issue. I just had to do Yarn cache clean, and now it's working. So, by the way, I have to ask you: do you use Yarn or do you use npm or do you use pnpm?
I'm a Yarn person.
Yarn 1, right?
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, I mean,
Yarn 2 is out, but people.
What I've used most recently, you can keep using till I have a reason not to, I guess.
Exactly. I do like pnpm. If you get your tooling set up to support symlinks, which Ignite does, by the way, pnpm is faster, and it is really cool. But I don't know. Like sometimes it doesn't feel worth it because you do have to deal with symlink issues. Anyway, so we have so iOS and Android, Expo around the corner, heavily inspired by Detox. By the way, if I'm missing any chat, sorry about that. Seems like an MS all mustache guy 2 non-Viking style. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Rizwan. Sorry. Let's keep moving. And we have maybe you're probably talking about the logo. Oh, yeah. Okay, I missed the context there. My bad. Okay, so here is baseline. And then if you were to switch the logo, so you went from just the mark to maybe the full logo of Formidable, now you see it kind of overlaid in pink over the top of it, so it's very obvious what has changed. That's the diff. Yeah, and Metro's starting up there. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a CLI, the library, the HTML report, the native client that enables interacting with the simulator. So the CLI is Yarn Owl build and Yarn Owl test. Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You can interject anytime you want, but Rob, I'm just kind of going through here.
Yeah, that's fine. I guess we'll hopefully we'll try both of those commands out. But essentially, it needs its own build command because we have to inject a little bit of extra code into the app that you're testing.
Okay.
Otherwise, when you do a normal app, like a release build or whatever, you just do a normal build, and the owl specific stuff won't be included. Yeah. So it doesn't affect your release builds at all.
Right. Okay. Yep, that makes sense. That's always good when you can separate those things out easily. Makes sense. And then you can pass in the platform, iOS or Android or and it'll,
Yeah,
I assume, load up in the right simulator.
There's
Yeah.
there's like a small config file as well where you can specify like the simulator or the emulator to use. So
Yeah.
you can choose. Obviously, you always need to use the same one for tests because if the screen size changes, the test will fail.
Oh, that makes sense.
But,
yeah.
You can choose like this simulator, to use.
Yeah. Yeah, motion juxtapose only supported iOS, so we didn't have that issue. Plus, back then there weren't as many screen sizes, but you did have to tell it still at that time, like what screen size and what simulator to use. Okay, so there's an action: take screenshot. Takes a screenshot from the simulator while the app is running and stores it in the .owl directory. So you'll have baseline, latest, and diff images in the test run report. Okay. Just for the test runs, provide a custom matcher to match baseline. Okay, I like it. That will compare the screenshot with this baseline using Pixel Match, a pixel level image comparison library. Is this like a JavaScript only thing, or is it like there's some like?
I think it's a JavaScript kind of comparison.
Oh yeah,
but the actual comparison itself is really quick. The image, if you need to generate an image with the diff, that takes a couple seconds because you have to generate a whole like PNG.
Sure.
But the actual matching is really good, really fast.
That is really cool. That is really cool. I like it.
Yeah.
And that's actually
it also takes account of like text anti-aliasing. So by default, it has some level of leniency in.
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna ask about that, like a fuzz factor. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we just use the default from the library. We haven't needed to adjust it yet, but there is some configuration in that library. Yeah, it seems to. We've never had like false positives where we wouldn't expect it.
Right.
So it seems pretty reliable.
By the way, chat. Let's see here. Supports real devices too, or simulator only.
Good question. So I think you would normally use it in the simulator anyway, because like the ultimate goal here is that you run it on CI. So you use GitHub Actions and you run it on there. So you'd always be using like an emulator simulator. I don't know about real devices actually. I've never tested it.
Okay.
Because we've just used simulator.
Use a simulator, yeah. Yeah.
It wouldn't work. You just need to make sure that you're targeting the build, like install step, at the right place.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Mark Rickert, who works for Infinite Red, says, I did a half-hearted attempt to integrate OWL into a monorepo. It didn't go too well, like most things you try to do with a monorepo. Yeah, that's probably just needs to, I don't know, like monorepos just make everything more complicated.
Yeah, I mean, like obviously, OWL is also very new project, and I'm sure there's lots of scenarios that we're not handling well or not.
Yeah.
We have defaults. There's a few defaults that we're hard coding into the CLI that maybe should be config, but we've not yet had to change it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, yeah, of course, open to PRs.
Yeah, totally.
Love to support more things if possible.
For sure. Now I love this. This is a very pretty screen. It shows the report. Now, let's see here. You can just view the generated report. Just load it up.
Yeah.
And you will then see the images and the diff. That makes sense.
Actually, the report now is slightly improved in version 1 than this. So you now see all of the failed tests first.
Okay.
So the failed tests will have the baseline, the latest, and the diff.
Nice.
And then after that, you see all of the past tests. So then you'll just see the baseline and the latest.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
The same, so there's no diff.
Yeah.
So
okay.
You can see like the results of all your tests, which is nice.
That's fantastic. Building a native client, which will allow developers to interact with simulators, pressing buttons, scrolling, typing, etc. We'd like to build on Detox with more stuff. So that's great. Go check out the announcement there. There is documentation if you go to formidable.com/open-source/React Native OWL, and it shows a little code snippet. I always like seeing code right away, so that's great. Of course, has your great little logo there. It presses a button, takes a screenshot. So await press button. Now, is this press coming from something else? or is this?
Yeah, so that's imported just from React Native OWL as well.
Oh, so this
we've got like a.
So that is
Sorry.
from React Native OWL. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, we've got a few methods to like press, change text,
Mhm.
enter text,
Mhm.
exactly. Scroll, I think scroll and scroll to end.
Yeah.
Long press.
Okay.
That's about it.
Okay.
There's
Yeah.
like 5.
See, this is, for me, this is just an excuse not to have to write too many detox tests. So I'm going to be all over it. I like detox, but man, sometimes the flakiness gets to me, and it's better than Appium, which shows how bad Appium is. But yeah, okay. So let's see here. Heavily inspired by detox, the same thing here. Kind of shows all that. It's great. And then if I hit get started, why don't we go ahead and start integrating it? So I have an Ignite app up here. I don't know how familiar you are with Ignite, but it's just a boilerplate basically of React Native. Yeah, it's basically the stack we use. So MobX state tree, TypeScript, React Native or React navigation, internationalization support, detox. It has optional Expo support. It already integrates Expo. Whatever Expo modules, I guess, so that you can.
Yeah, so you can just use their modules straight away without.
Exactly. Yeah, Kotlin and Swift are already enabled. All these things are. Yeah, it's all the stuff we would normally set up in a project. And in this case, you can click a button, you can see what's in the stack, and then there's a demo list, which has a list of Rick and Morty characters. So. That's essentially the whole thing. There's not, most of the value of Ignite is not in the demo screens. Most of the value is in the setup. But yeah.
Yeah. This looks perfect though for trying to use OWL on, because essentially you can launch the app, take a screenshot, and then press the continue button, take a screenshot, go to the list, take a screenshot, and then do some scrolling to the list or something.
Exactly. Yeah, this should be great. So I'm gonna. So I have Metro running, and I have this up here with my Warp terminal, which I do like Warp, by the way. It's been pretty good. So add -dev React Native Val. Is this big? Oops, I hit the wrong button. Just make sure it's big enough for people to read here. Okay. How does OWL handle loading states? Can you wait for the final UI?
Yes, so we do a couple of things. One thing is we wait while something's rendering. If there's lots of renders happening in a short time span, we kind of wait until everything settles down for long enough. It might be a second or a few seconds. So we kind of assume then that the app's kind of settled into that state. You can also await. So we have I think it's wait. I don't know how to open up the docs. We've got a method that essentially searches for something to be available, to then press on, for example, and you can await that thing to be available.
Okay.
So often if you have like some async loading, you would await, wait for, I don't know, the button with a certain test ID to then be rendered. It should work.
That sounds like a pleasant UI. That's or developer experience, I should say. Okay, so l.config.json is the next thing. Let's see here. Example config. Could probably just copy this in. And I called mine lplay, not ldemo. So I'm gonna change these to lplay.
Yeah.
And then the device, iPhone 13 Pro. Let's just do iPhone 13, I guess. Maybe reuse the same thing.
With the simulator, you'll need to boot up the simulator on your machine, the same one that I would expect is
Gotcha.
running. We don't yet have the ability to auto boot.
Yeah.
But that's something that obviously React Native does do. So we're hoping to kind of see how they do it and do the same.
Absolutely. Looks like Metro died. Probably needed to be rebooted anyway, so I'm just gonna do a yarn start over here, and then reload. It should load up. Okay, cool. There we are. All right. Easy enough. So now we need to add some tests. And we just need to pull this into where our tests are. Let's see.
Yeah, so this you'll need to call them with a certain file extension.
Okay.
Is that in that docs though?
I'm going to create a new folder.
Does
it matter where it is?
This is where we'll find all the missing setup.
Yeah.
No, as long as it's Jess can find it.
Okay. I think that Jess should be able to find this. I'm hopeful that it is able to, but I'm just going to say, owl. And then we're going to say, base or like, main flow, let's say, .test.ts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so they need to have a .owl.tsx extension.
TSX?
Well, TypeScript or
TS,
TSX
okay.
or
Yeah.
whatever text you can find. Yeah.
Yep.
It needs like the .owl.
Okay, perfect. Now, this says app.tsx. Oh, that's just the description. Never mind. My bad.
Yeah.
Mark says, he says, yeah, I can see a config for things like Xcode project URI since our Xcode project isn't in the standard format. Since it's in a different package location, basically, that forces me to use OWL in the package instead of at the root monorepo level. I didn't spend much time on it, though. Web support 2. No, not auto-launching the correct simulator was definitely a pain point for me as well. So yeah, those things sound very fixable though, so that shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, I mean definitely React Native does that already, so we're hoping to just kind of see how they implement it.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I think you
Did I miss
file name, you'll just need to swap the .test to .owl.
Sorry, say again.
So if you rename the file mainflow.owl.ts.
Oh, I need owl in there.
File name. Yeah, in the actual file name itself.
owl.ts or owl.test.ts?
Owl.ts.
Okay, and then I think for jest I would need to... Where do I need to do that? Is it in package?
So when you run the CLI,
yeah,
it automatically looks for those file extensions.
Oh, okay. So I don't need to worry about that.
You should need to change it if you're in settings. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Essentially, if you run Jest on your project, you kind of want Jest to ignore the OWL tests because it won't be able to run them. But our CLI will, will run them.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so it must be built. So I will run that in the meantime, I think, because I think I still need to make a change to this here because we have this home screen thing. What is this looking for? Or is this just a name? Sorry, it might be lagging a little behind you on the... Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that takes screenshot. That's just the name to give the screenshot when it's saved.
Oh, okay. Okay. So in this case, I might say like
file name.
Welcome screen, right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Now the button, when you say press button, what is it looking for? Oh, it's a test ID.
So we use test IDs.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. That makes sense.
It just kind of needs to be like a unique test ID.
I'm just gonna go ahead and
jump. I mean, the easiest thing here to do would just be to remove the press and just do screenshot, and then to match it, and then
yeah,
that's
fair.
A test, and we'll see the whole process work just for the first kind of screen.
Yep, makes sense. So I know you're lagging a little behind me. I'm kind of zipping ahead here.
Yeah, there's a few seconds. It keeps going blurry. I think it's.
Is it going blurry?
Yeah, it kind of, and then it kind of it cleans up, and then it goes blurry.
Okay.
Again. I don't know if it's just me. But...
Yeah, I wonder what's going on with that. Hopefully it's clean enough. What's the? Can you? I wonder if I can see. Do we have decent?
I think I can.
Yeah, like, what's the resolution and stuff?
I'll just force video quality to be lower. That seems to help. I think it was trying to do like 1080. 720 looks fine.
Let me see if I can. Okay, on YouTube it appears.
Yeah, I think it's okay. I think it's just my end.
It's set to auto. There is 1080p available though. Maybe you can force 1080p if you want it to be cleaner.
Yeah,
Lagging a
alright
bit
at
for
the
me on Twitch, says Danny. And Rizwan asks, will it be supporting navigation like Wix React Native navigation? I saw the screen name. So yeah, that's a good question. Does it support React Native navigation? I would assume it would, because when you press the button, it should just work, right?
Yeah, exactly. There's a button you press, and whatever happens should just happen.
Yeah. Regardless of what you're using.
Any issues?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The one bit I haven't had chance to test much myself yet is getting it to work. Say if you have a tab, like a navigation tab bar.
Yeah.
And then pressing on the tabs.
Okay.
I assume that there'll be a way of adding a test ID to a tab. And essentially, as long as there is something that has a test ID and an on-press prop, we'll just call the on-press prop and do whatever that trigger.
Yeah.
We kind of call on-press. On-press has an argument with like some press data. We kind of send it like a mock set of press data with like coordinates and things, and it just trigger the on-press callback.
Okay.
So anything that handle should work. There's a few ideas for handling other edge cases. So like if you had a hidden page in your app that was only for our tests,
right,
and you didn't have a thing to press to get to it, you'd kind of be blocked. But there's a few ideas for how we could kind of trigger like secret functionality without like impacting your actual release app.
That's really cool.
On having things.
Yeah, totally. Could you see it being a replacement for Detox? You know, considering what you can do with it.
Yeah, I mean, it might be hopefully a more straightforward experience than Detox.
Yeah.
And if I guess for simple use cases where you have just an app and you're just clicking through, screenshotting, comparing,
right? Then
definitely, I think it could just be a perfect comparison.
I think right now, obviously, you know, you would need more matchers. You would have like, excuse me, you'd have to be able to like sample the screen and say, do you see this like Detox does and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's where Detox has that extra power of being able to actually query like all the native elements on the screen,
right?
Which we can't do. We're relying on the test IDs being there, and so essentially Owl is keeping track of the things that have test IDs,
right,
and keeping a ref, and then just calling props on those components.
Oh, I see.
Via the ref.
Oh, I see. Okay, that makes sense.
So we're not really doing very much natively at all. We're pretty much working out of just the JavaScript kind of side.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. DJ Cool Software says, seems like a good companion to Detox. Yeah, that's fair. Yep. Rather than replacing entirely. Yeah, I think it'd be more like you said, it's more of a, like maybe with a simple app, it might be sufficient, but you'd probably want to use it alongside. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Detox is sometimes just overkill just for visual regressions. Yeah, that makes sense. Wait, does Detox do visual regression testing? I don't think it did. But yeah, okay. So this did finish, by the way.
You can like screenshot screens or parts of screens as well, maybe. So you could definitely do visual regression, but I'm not sure it has it like out of the box. It's kind of ready to go.
Okay, it just passed, but I'm always like suspicious when something passes first run.
So if you just scroll up, what you should see is that it created.
It did create one
because you don't have a baseline, it should have just created your baseline. There is a flag you can pass to the CLI to just recreate all your baseline, but
Okay.
because one doesn't exist, it's
Okay.
it. So
Yeah.
if that works, you should now have a .app directory, and you should see iOS baselines, and then welcome screen.
There it is. Look at
And then
that.
that's what you would commit. Like once you're happy that that is the accurate representation of
Yeah.
the correct state of your app, you would commit that to Git, and then whenever you run snapshot tests, that's what would be diffed.
That was ridiculously fast, Rob. That was really fast.
If you go and change anything on the scring
Okay,
and
let's go do
rerun
it.
your test now, you'll get failure.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna say or let's see. I'm just gonna remove like suddenly, you know, the Bowser logo just goes away, right? So
yeah, like a character, add some padding, change color, anything.
okay, so that did pass, but I'm wondering if it's because did I have to? So I did delete this. Is it because I need to refresh?
Okay, so if you run, you'll need to do a new build step.
Oh, you have to run build again.
Yeah, you have to run the build again.
Okay, so is that?
It'd be nice to kind of have. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that something that could you just reload the JavaScript side of it?
Yeah, I guess in theory we could actually, because essentially, like, as you're working on the app, the only thing we're changing is the JavaScript.
Yeah, generally.
Nice
Although that was pretty fast. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I mean, build times are definitely getting better, especially on like better hardware. And I guess if you had a really large app, this could be an issue because you'd have to rebuild. Like, you know, it would be a slow rebuild.
Yeah, that's true.
But with a small app at the minute, it should be pretty rapid.
So it had to generate obviously that diff now, and it said, "Hey, we got a problem here." They did not match. So test results written here. So you actually generate a JSON report, and then you have this right.
So there's a few reports.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So now I should be able to.
JSON, and we've got the actual in the report like HTML version as well.
Yep. Perfect.
I haven't actually seen the JSON report because Manos added that more recently, and I've not actually seen it. So it's pretty
okay.
Cool.
Yeah, we'll go take a look at that. Rizwan says line 5 welcome screen is what screen name, but the file is different. Let's go look at line 5. Line 5. This right here is simply an identifier that gets put right here, where the on the welcome screen image itself. So that's the identifier it would use to then say, because if I change this, it would just generate a new one. Then I would assume, right?
Exactly, it wouldn't exist to generate new baseline.
Right.
Obviously, you couldn't use the same like file name reference in multiple tests because they would be overriding or comparing each other.
But this is arbitrary though. You could do whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so report failed. Failing screenshots, and it shows the baseline here, and then the latest, and then it shows a diff. So you can see that, hey, wait a minute here. All this stuff moved up, and you know, it deleted this, it added it up here, it removed this image. The rest of the stuff's grayed out because it's not relevant.
Exactly. Yeah, it leaves it kind of slightly visible, but
right. So you can kind of orient yourself, but yeah, exactly. All right, cool. So now, if I were to want to accept that as the main screenshot there, what do I do?
Yeah, so I guess there's two things you could do. You could either like manually copy paste from one folder, the latest folder, back to the baseline
Grab this
folder.
one.
If you've already got the screenshot, you could just stick it back into your baselines.
Right.
Or you could rerun the tests with the -- update flag. I think I'll check the docs.
Yeah.
So you would run with dash.
Oh yeah, dash
update.
update.
Or dash.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So
And that just basically reruns the test and replaces all the baselines with the current.
And then if I refresh this,
you can't.
yeah, sorry, it already passed. So yeah.
cool. Yeah, I was gonna say like maybe something that would be nice would be a way of saying update the baseline image with this identifier, so it can like run through all the tests and only update certain ones. At the minute,
only
it's
update
all or
ones.
nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, you could manually copy paste files to update individual ones.
So here's an idea, Rob, and this is something that is coming straight from that motion juxtapose. What they did was they built a little server. I think they used like Sinatra, like a Ruby server. But you could have a little node server running if you wanted to run it, and it could have a button. When you click the button, you just accept that diff, and it would move it.
Yeah, like a button in the report.
Yeah, right in the report.
Yeah, because we could just exactly the server could just copy the file.
Exactly. And that would be a really cool feature. So like right here, I'll let you catch up on the stream here, but you can see that the current actually has an accept button on there.
Yeah, I saw that earlier.
You just click that button and it copies it over.
Yeah.
And I think that
straightforward.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then it would just, all it's serving is that HTML file, and it has an endpoint for accepting images, and then it can simply move it using the file system. So that would be a relatively straightforward and very cool little thing to show what it looks like. They also, I think, had different folders for different simulators, so you could actually run multiple simulators or like test it on multiple simulators, make sure that it worked across the board.
That's a good idea, because you have different screen sizes. You might want to do a really small screen and a really big screen, and you get different results.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Or you might allow
yeah
I guess there's probably no reason why we couldn't do that, because it's the simulator name is already like a unique ID.
Exactly. Yeah, so then you could simply have under the iOS folder have your just one more layer. I don't know, it's just an idea. Obviously all this stuff is takes time, but this is super cool already. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's good to get those ideas, because we've not, we've had some feedback yet, but not loads, so it's good to get a few ideas. I'll have to update the GitHub tickets later. We've got issues, and we're trying to use the GitHub project feature.
Yep.
But it's a bit hit and miss, whether it's helpful. But,
yeah, for sure. Okay, so now we're gonna say presses the continue button, then takes a screenshot. So in this case, the continue button does have a test ID. It's called next screen button. I'm just gonna copy that in there. And then we're gonna take a screenshot, and that's actually going to be in the what's in the stack. So, and actually I think it's called the demo screen. So I'm just gonna call it demo screen. So we're gonna go ahead and run this without the update. Oh no, I have to run build. Okay, so build first.
Yeah, you'll need to run the build again, and then when you run it, it will do a normal test on the first screenshot that exists, and it will generate the second.
Perfect. So if I just change the owl test, do I have to rebuild?
I don't think so.
We could test that actually.
Literally you won't. The actual test files aren't part of the app.
Yeah, so then maybe I didn't have to run the build. That actually makes sense. Okay. But that's still relatively quick. So now I just want to run it without the update. So let's see what happens. Hey, it actually went there. You see that? Like, it actually went to the second screen.
Didn't navigate.
And it says it took a screenshot.
You see what's happening in the simulator.
Yeah. No, I need to make it a little bit. Actually, I do have. I don't know if it's probably not a good time to try to set that up right now, but there is. I'm using a system called ping.gg, and it's by Theo. Actually, he's a guy that I've had on the stream. And there is a way for me to share my screen with you directly, which you would get immediate feedback. So I'll have to set that up for my next guest. You unfortunately don't get that.
Yeah, that'd be cool, because I'm kind of relying on like about a 5 second. 5 seconds, which is fine as long as everyone's aware of that, I guess. I'm waiting to see what you.
I just always make the same joke. I just say my guests are a little slow. Just keep we'll just have to deal with that. No, it's good. Okay, so it created both. Had the welcome screen as usual, and this one's the new accepted one that we just accepted. And then there we go. There's the second screen. Let's make a change to the demo screen. So if I go in here, by the way, question for you, Rob, do you check those into source control? Do you check in the
Yeah,
accepted?
so that's the plan. You would plug them in, and then you would run like a GitHub action to run these tests.
Yeah.
We have an example GitHub action thing. Is it in the? Is it? Maybe it's in the docs.
Let me see here. I'm gonna delete the demo Reactotron.
You must see it.
I'm gonna delete the
Yeah. We've
Reactotron
got
stuff.
an Android example in the GitHub Actions section in the docs. So if you look at the actual repository, we test the example project in the .NET Eval repository on GitHub CI using GitHub Actions. So it kind of, we're running snapshot tests of the example project.
Sorry, where am I going?
You want to see them running. So if you look in GitHub at the .NET Eval project, and then look at
the
Actions.
Oh, Actions. Okay. Yep.
So I'm just trying to find one that's actually useful.
There's Mark, by the way. Mark says, I sent a PR clarifying the getting started docs that the file name extension matters.
I've written that down, but yeah, I think we're missing that, so that's kind of essential.
File names must end in .l.ts. In this case, by the way, Mark, it's not tsx, it's just ts. So you can do ts or tsx.
Yeah.
So either way works. You'll want to update that. Sorry, I'm in the actions now though. What are you looking?
Yeah. So I just found one then. So if you there was a commit called feature improve report layout and add stats.
I see it. Yep.
About 10 down.
Yeah.
If you open that up, you'll see.
All right.
The one on the branch. There's one
Sorry.
on main and there's one on the branch. It's one on the branch you want.
My apologies. I'm so this one here. I don't know if maybe I'm doing the wrong thing. I can go to the PR itself.
So it's 276. Yeah.
That's the pull request, or
there you go. So you can see there it's running the that visual regression test.
Or did I skip past it? Sorry, this is actually.
It should be.
Wonder if I should. Okay, I'm gonna stay here for a second so you can get caught up, Rob, and you tell me where to go.
I think if you go to the checks tab on that pull request.
Okay.
Near the top.
Yep. It's
a little weird. Yeah. I don't know if you already clicked it or not. On the third tab across, it has checks.
Yeah, I'm there. You know what?
Okay,
Let me see if I can get this figured out, because I feel like there's got to be a way to do this. Oh, share screen right here. Okay, go check your ping.gg.
Yeah, I've got to shut Twitch. Yeah, this looks better.
Is that better?
Yeah, full screen. Right, that's better. Yeah, I can see your screen.
Oh, okay. All right. Now we're good. I didn't realize it was that easy. I just hit the button. Okay, good. All right. Now let's try this again. What am I looking for in the checks thing?
So if you just go back to the list of all the GitHub actions that have run.
Okay.
I wonder if I can draw on the screen. Probably not.
Let's go back to actions here for a second.
Yeah, it's that one. Okay, scroll down to 276.
Right here.
Feature improve. Yeah, that one there. If you just view that kind of main section, on the title, and then you'll see it's run the visual regression test.
Right.
Just down with the green tick.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was the GitHub action running the tests on the example project.
Nice.
If you view that, I think you'll see the console output.
Yep.
Yeah. So this has it's run the simulator, and then it's done the owl build, owl test.
Nice. That's
so
great.
this is kind of what I would expect you would want to do. So you don't have to do the build and the test locally. You can just push your commit, open a pull request and have the test run for you. And then if they fail, this action, like the way the action's been set up, it will then upload the images and the reports as assets of the build. I can't remember the word, but like it will upload it and make it available, so you can then go to the action that ran and view the report.
You can actually see the report then.
Yeah.
That's
I
fantastic.
think it didn't run because it only needs to do that if there's a failure. So it skipped that step. But if it fails, it would upload.
That's really
so if you want to see like a working GitHub action using OWL, then there's an example.
That's really cool. That is really cool. I like that. I'm curious if maybe one of these that.
I wonder why that failed. Unit tests. Okay, no.
Oh, so you're not gonna see that. Okay, yeah. But that's really cool.
I can't remember the rules around when it obviously doesn't run our tests on everything. It must just run it on maybe new PRs or something. I'm not sure that's how.
That makes sense. Yep. So let's see. What was I gonna do? Oh, I made a change, by the way. And I'm curious. Let's see if it fails. Yeah, this is much better. You're not having to wait for the stream to catch up.
Yeah, it's just like doing a screen share at work, isn't it?
Right?
On Zoom or
yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of what I expected.
Yeah. All right, so it's building, and then I just went ahead in my command itself. All right, it's not going to show me it, but it's yarn owl build platform iOS and yarn owl test iOS. Oh, did I need to say
you might have to do
platform?
You need the name in there.
Where's the end of this command down?
I mean, maybe having them as aliases would be quite handy anyway, because it's kind of such a common.
No, that makes sense. So I should be doing like dash platform space iOS.
In the example project in .NET Eval, we've just created like yarn run commands.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Kind of alias them. I think we can just do yarn owl iOS or something.
So if I were to, let's see, we have like CI test. So let's say if I did like test owl, for example, and I just put in the whole.
Yeah, that whole command.
The whole command.
Should, make it easier to remember.
Yeah, exactly. And then I could
He wants to remember command line arguments.
Owl update. And then in this case, I'm just going to do the dash update. Yeah. And then I'm going to actually just get rid of the build, because if you're updating, you're probably not needing to build.
I think you would need the build. If you change some JavaScript, you would need the build step. Otherwise, the update.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
Would use like the previous build.
That's fair. Okay, so maybe what I'll do is like, this is totally unnecessary, but I'm going to do this anyway. Yarn owl or test owl build, and I'll just do test owl build and drop that in, and then I can just drop that in right here as well. So build and then test with that. Okay. So I think that's all good right there, but let's see what it did. So it failed, which I think was what we expected. Let me go back to our index HTML somewhere in here. Report, refresh. Okay, it failed, and that's because I actually removed the demo Reactotron stuff, and it actually shows that all this stuff moved up.
Yeah.
So I can see that the Reactotron thing went away. Now this is a little bit hard to read because the demo Reactotron, the demo list kind of are overlaid a little bit.
And yeah, it's hard because it doesn't distinguish like before and after. It just says this is different between them.
Right.
So you kind of see both instances overlaid.
So this is better for like subtle changes, but over here I can look and see, oh, I know something big's missing here. So this is a lot more. Yeah. So
exactly. having all three images makes it super easy to see. Like the third image really is only for subtle changes when it'd be useful.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yep. So I'm just running the update now. Cool. And then let me back out of a couple of things here. I'm going to go back to the documentation right here. And I'm just going to go through a few more of the config things here. So debug prevents the CLI library from printing any logs or output. That may be if you want to just run it as part of like a bigger script or something like that.
There is some extra output. When it's searching for a button, it will tell you what it's looking for, when it's found it, that kind of thing.
Oh, I see. Okay, so if you
turn it on,
change this to true, then it'll do additional output. Okay.
Yeah.
Report true or false. That makes sense.
Default's true.
Path to the XC workspace file of your React Native project. So that may actually have solved your problem there, Mark, where you were in a different folder for the XC workspace.
There's also the way we inject React Native OWL, it has like a hard-coded path to where it expects the normal app entry file to exist relative to the node modules.
Yeah.
So if node modules exist somewhere else, then that might fail.
So
that could be an issue.
Yeah, that makes sense. And what did I break? The device is locked.
The device is locked. Yeah. It's a simulator. How's it locked?
Okay. I'm just gonna kill that and try it again. Looks like it worked. Okay, so here's another cool thing, Rob, about the visual regression testing in general. Oh yeah, still.
Maybe try like hitting the home button on your simulator or something.
Oh, okay. What is that button anyway? What do you?
I don't know what it's.
I guess I can just pull this.
It's on the actual menu bar at the top. Oh, I could try that. Like,
just
it's
do it
clearly
that way.
not locked, so I don't know why.
Yeah.
Xcode thinks it is.
Yeah. So one of the other, it's okay. I'm just gonna kill the simulator, and then now I need to reopen it. I don't know, just Yarn iOS, I guess. But okay, so one of the other cool things about this is that when you submit a PR with some changes, your PR will actually show the new screenshots, and people will be able to see those new screenshots right in your PR. Like, it'll actually show up in the.
I hadn't thought of that, but there will be in the file changes list.
Yeah, exactly. So let's say, so let me just do implemented OWL, okay? And then I'm just gonna go GH repo create Jamon Holmgren OWL play. I'll just create that and then push it. What? Okay, I need dash. Okay, I'm gonna make this one public. Okay, and then I'll just do GPO. What? Why doesn't it connect it as a? Maybe it's because I have an old version of GH, but okay, so. Git remote.
I don't use the GitHub CLI, so
yeah.
I'm learning from you here now how to use it. I always use like a GUI.
Yeah. I don't mind their CLI. I'm used to their old one called Hub, but GH is the new one. So, all right. So I just have a little thing in here that'll push it up. Okay. Then let's go here. Except for I need to change this to /. All right. There it is. Okay, so now let's say that I check out a new branch, which will be some change. All right, so we have some change here. All right, and then did this pass? Okay, it launched it. Okay, so let me just verify that we can run test OWL first. Is this, by the way? Yeah, this is all good. So what we'll do is we'll create a pull request here, and we'll see what that looks like, because I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
I think if that actually shows us side by side,
yeah,
file
right?
change in GitHub.
Isn't that like that's like a
that would sell it to me?
It's like a it's like a side benefit. You should actually mention that in your docs, like, hey, this is a side benefit of the whole thing.
Hadn't thought of that at all, but
yeah,
it's really good. I'm excited to see this.
Yeah, me too. Okay, so let's plan out what we're gonna do. So maybe we'll like replace the Ignite logo with an owl logo. So let's do that. Let's do the React Native owl logo. So I'm just gonna go rip off your. How do I get this? Making it too hard on me here. Oh, it's an SVG.
I know. I think is it SVG? It might be.
Maybe I can grab this one right here.
Yeah, that.
So WebP, would that work in React Native?
Oh,
you know what I'm gonna do?
Go on. Maybe you could just screenshot.
Screenshot?
Screenshot that little bit.
Then the background would be terrible.
You'll get like
can I save this?
PNG.
Save as, export. Let's try this. Just going above and beyond here to the desktop. Let's just throw that in. All right, so there's a PNG. Yeah, it's okay. It's good. All right, cool. So demo screen has the logo Ignite, so I'm just going to drop this in same spot. Okay, and then I'm going to go to here, and logo Ignite is going to. I'm just going to change this to rnowlbadge.png, and then and by the way, if I just shake where's my dev menu?
Is this running the owl build?
Oh, it probably is. Like yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah. So that is actually something to watch for. If you're on an owl build, it will be different. Okay, cool. So you might actually want a different simulator opening for owl, just so you're like, okay, that's the owl build, and this is my dev build. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. So in this case, if I run this, I should get a diff. So let's run that.
Yeah, when you do the build, you can in the config specify like the schema. Is it on iOS?
Okay.
So you could in theory actually do like a release build or something, but the default is it just runs a release build.
Okay. Yep. That actually makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So here's our report here. So we'll wait for this to finish. DJ says, Owl doing web performance too good. You should be worse at that. It would make this easier. All right, so now we're running it. And by the way, okay, it's cut off because our. In fact, yeah, let's make that work. Let's make that work a little better. Where are we? Ignite logo width, and I think it's the same height. So let's just do that. So we did get a test failure. So if I refresh this, I can see that just the Ignite logo is different. But now I want to rerun it with the new.
You'll get a bigger diff here because the height will change and the text.
It'll push that down.
Push down.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So we'll let that go. So I think this is where having. Oh, I was gonna say this is where having it reload just the JavaScript would be nice.
Yeah, we'll have to try and work out how we can get that.
Okay.
Because the most time is just waiting for the build.
Yeah.
Just gonna say like, well, we look at the screen that part of the kind of the most difficult of getting all this to work was getting the simulator to show its own UI like accurately between different builds. So like the clock and the icons and the battery and all that kind of stuff. like that has to be exactly the same every time, because if the clock has a different time or the battery level was like different, like the test would fail. And same with Android. Like you've got loads of icons and all sorts of stuff going on in the header.
True.
So we had to find a way to make it reliably like remove those or specifically set them. So that was quite a cool bit of work.
No kidding.
I think we've got it working pretty well now.
I think in Juxtapose, what they had was some sort of a way to block out certain sections and say ignore this section of the PNG. I don't know if that's possible with the diffing.
Saying, like the first like 30 pixels.
Yeah. Like you could define like rectangles and say this area of the screen, ignore any changes in it. Okay, so I just updated it. So now let's say that I have this and I wanna so huge change, please merge. Okay, so now I'm just gonna push it up. And I go to the pull requests here. And actually, no, if I go here. Did it push? Why doesn't it pop up? It should pop up. Okay. All right, but here's...
There's a branch.
Oh, it's because I'm not friggin' signed in. Okay, hold on. I need to sign in. For probably obvious reasons, I don't have my normal browser for streaming. I just use Chrome. I use Brave otherwise. So I have to sign into this one. And there we go. All right, now we get that little pull request button.
Yeah.
All right. Screenshot. All right, so I'm just going to create the pull request. Let's look at it. So if I go to files changed, deleted, added, and then it has the actual change, and of course I added that. So if I go to like the I think isn't there a side-by-side view?
Is it just the screen width maybe is too narrow?
Oh, it might be. Yeah, you're right. And I could there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
There it is.
Right.
So if I
you're really selling me on this library.
Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? That is so cool. So you can see like, hey, this is what changed. I replaced the Ignite logo.
That's cool. We're gonna have to get that in the docs.
Yeah, totally.
As a benefit.
I'm gonna send this over to you in the ping chat just so you have it, Rob. But that is a huge benefit of this, in my opinion.
I shall share that with the team because they'll love that.
Yeah, totally. And by the way, this is like after you've accepted a new screenshot. So you've already looked at it, you've already said this is what I want, and then when you push it up, people know this is what you've already looked at this, you know that this is what you want. And then it's much easier to see.
Half the time I find that I end up screenshotting like the screen just to demonstrate the thing I've changed.
Exactly.
Some context.
Yeah.
So like have it automatically added whenever you've changed the screen would be it's just less to do manually.
It's also it's a record over time in your Git repo of what the app looked like over history. Probably not as important, but still somewhat important. You could also go in here and like copy the image address, and if you wanted to, just go something like this, and then update, and then that just comes right in, so you've got it. That's way too big, but yeah. See what I'm saying? Actually, let me do this.
Can you change the size on that?
Yeah, you can go if you do image source, and then just a width. Whoops.
Nice. I always drop the images straight in, and then it's like they're just massive because the pixel
exactly
count on the icon is huge.
Yeah, so I generally like about 200 pixels for something like this. So I just turn it into an HTML image tag and give it a width. So
top tip there.
Yeah. But that's cool. That's very cool. And of course, yeah, you've got this right here, and the real diff here, and you can see that. Yeah, very, very cool. I like that. Huge change. Please merge. I'll leave that one on red. But yeah, now if I refresh, it is passing, so we're good. So that is really cool. I'm gonna go back to, let's see, docs here. Have the config file. What else do we have? You can set a few other. Oh yeah, build. You talked about that, the build configuration.
Yeah.
And then build command, binary path. If you're using a custom build command. Android stuff. Example there. Nice.
There's probably other things we could pass straight through to like the Xcode build as well, because there's loads of other kind of arguments. But, we're only using a few at the minute. But you can also provide your own whole build command that we'll just use.
Nice.
Or you could run your own build command and just pass us where the file is, the build map.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So you could configure it as you want as well.
Mm-hmm. Automate launching the relevant simulator. Probably some other ideas that have come up as well. CLI building.
That one hits all the time because like you go to run the tests and it fails, and it's like because the simulator just doesn't exist, so it just fails to install. And it's kind of super frustrating. Or if you have like the iPhone 13 instead of the Pro, it's really hard to spot that it's the wrong simulator.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair. Yep. Testing the app. Run the app on the simulator. So that's the OWL test, which we've been using. Custom config, viewing the report. It's included in the test output. One recommendation might be to have a config that is always open the report on a failure. So if there's a failure, just open the URL in your browser. Since you already have it,
Yeah, there must be a command that opens like the default browser, because I guess you could open it in Chrome.
Yeah, exactly.
CLI, but there must be a operating system level browser command.
Wonder if I just do this.
Nice.
It did work. It just went on a different thing, but let me pull it over here. Yeah, it worked. So it just open in Mac anyway. I don't know if you're using a different operating system, if it's different, but I do know that works for Mac. So that should be straightforward.
We've only tested on Mac, to be honest. We've not had a chance to test this on a different operating system.
Yeah.
None of us that work on it have anything else, unfortunately.
Delay testing on anything else and supporting anything else as long as possible, because it's just a pain to always be trying to support, because like Ignite works on Windows kind of, so then we feel obligated to support it on Windows. We don't want to, but it is what it is. But yeah, so the report, I could just pop that up. I really like the idea of the accept button, so I'm gonna put in my little 2 cents for that one, if it's possible. Take screenshot.
I think that's good. I guess the accept button is probably the trickiest thing to do, because we're going to have to build a small node server to handle.
Fair,
handle the request.
Yep.
But, it would streamline the process quite a lot.
Yeah.
Especially if it automatically opens the report, and then you just have the buttons visible.
Yep.
And then you can have like a big accept all thing, and it's, you don't need to use the CLI for that at all.
No, that totally makes sense.
That would be nice.
So this to exist matcher, by the way, makes me think that this could be used if you didn't want to use detox. If you were just like, I'm not doing detox, just too much work. It reminds me a little bit of like React Native testing library, how it approaches testing, because React Native testing library doesn't actually render anything. It's just like going through your JSX and kind of keeping its own virtual tree, basically. Where this will do both, because you can also make sure that it rendered something. So you could be checking to see if something exists on the JSX level in the elements, and then you can also be testing to make sure that this is awaiting for an element. Yeah, that makes sense. And then await to exist. Now, can you do a expect? You could, I think. You could do a to exist.
Well, it will. I mean, you could, obviously it will, like its promise, it will reject. if it doesn't exist.
That's
so
true.
you could put that in like you can require that it resolves.
Yeah. And then we have a press,
You probably
which
have
we
to kind of
used.
wrap it. You know.
Currently only test
you
IDs. I assume that's probably the best way to go with this, but I don't know if there's any other options for Matt.
Yeah, I mean,
sectors.
In theory, any like property,
Yeah.
any prop on the component, we could like monitor
Yeah.
a certain value, but test ID is like specifically for that job.
Yep.
So it makes sense to use that.
Long press, change text. So you can tell it to change text on like a text input, and then it'll do that.
Basically just cause the on change text prop with your new string.
Okay.
All these methods will also error with a hopefully appropriate message. Like if it doesn't find the element, or the element doesn't have like the on change text prop, it will tell you like, oh, we found it, but there was no prop to call.
Right.
So hopefully it kind of helps people through the setup slightly.
Yep, makes sense. We have scroll to end as well. Then we have some matchers to match baseline. Right now is the only one, which is the most important one, obviously. And then some information about GitHub Actions and how and an example workflow for that, as well as Android. Very cool. This is super awesome. Rob, like fantastic work by you and the other developers who have worked on it from Formidable. And
yeah, there was like 3 of us, I guess, working on the actual kind of functionality, plus the designers and other people proofreading. And,
yeah, call them out. Who are the other 2 devs working on it?
So Alessandro.
Uh-huh.
So Alessandro is working on the same project as me at the minute as well. So he's a really good dev. And in fact, Alessandro is also he has released, but we haven't really blogged about it yet, a new React Native library called React Native AMA.
Really?
If you look in the Formidable Labs like GitHub, you should see it in the repositories.
Okay.
It's like an early release. So it's essentially a accessibility library that you can just drop it in instead of using like components from React Native. You just import from React Native AMA, and it will ensure that you're using accessibility props where you need to.
Oh my goodness!
And it's got loads of helpers around form functionality, contrast, pressable sizes.
Yep.
It does some like kind of the yellow box kind of warnings to tell you about stuff, and console warnings.
Yep.
It does some runtime checks as well in dev. It's really cool. We've literally just merged this into the project we're working on now, and fixed like 100+ files where we've had to go and add accessibility roles, labels to all the buttons, because like we did very few buttons were accessible in a good way. But now this has forced us to go and actually make all the buttons kind of work with screen readers. It's really cool. We've got lots more work where we're going to be implementing lots more things from this library in our project.
That's amazing.
So yeah, like literally, this was Alessandro worked on it for like 6 weeks. Got to this point maybe a week or so ago, so it's really fresh.
This is fantastic.
There's a blog post coming soon.
This is fantastic.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Wow, that's great.
So things like handling navigation between form fields and trying to get that easy to work. Just loads of things. I like lists, having the screen reader like read out how many items are in the list before it gets to the list. Like all the stuff that I guess people just expect that like is kind of people. I think developers don't know about it or forget to put it in or don't have the time, and this just makes that easy.
That is fantastic. This is something we need. I mean, I'd love to have you folks on to talk about this once it's out as well, because I think there's some really cool stuff here. I'm gonna be sharing this with my team and letting them know that this is coming, because that is really cool.
Yeah, it's really good.
Really
like
cool.
we've already had loads of benefit in like a week in our project. It's been really
totally.
Good.
Well, I'm gonna let you go, Rob. And really, it's late there, I know, and you've already shared so much knowledge here. It's fantastic. Thanks for coming on. This is exciting to me. Like, this is something I will use for sure. Like, React Native Val is awesome.
Yeah, no, I'm glad. Like, I'm glad it's honestly, I've found out some things about how that not even I knew.
Yeah, right.
Also, pull requests, like, that's perfect.
Yeah,
like such a good way of using it.
Totally.
Yeah, we'll definitely be updating the docs. I think there was a pull request or two to merge, so we'll get them sorted soon as well.
That's awesome.
So thanks to everyone for those.
Yeah, very cool. And thanks everybody for hanging out, and especially, I guess, if you're watching later, thanks for watching later. And I think at some point we're going to be looking at, maybe integrating this into Ignite if we've used it on a project and found it to be helpful, which I think we will. That's how things get into Ignite, is if we use it on a project and it's helpful on a project, then it's like, maybe we want it on more projects. Derek says, this has been amazing. Thanks so much, Rob. Yeah, thanks for everybody who contributed in chat as well. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. I'm looking forward to all the new suggestions and new issues that come up as more people try and use it.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, thanks.
Awesome. So I'm gonna shut down the stream. Rob, you hang tight here for a second while I figure out how I do that again. We will be, I'm not sure if I'm streaming Monday. I might be, but Mondays are going to be hit and miss this summer, just everybody. Fridays, I'm going to have probably a few more guests here and there. Maybe Rob will be back at some point, talk about something else or whatever. Maybe we'll get someone else from Formidable on the AMA thing. If not, I'm always hacking on Ignite or working on something during these streams. So I appreciate everybody coming along with us. And with that, everybody have a good weekend, and I will see you all next week sometime.